Well, welcome everyone to TMI Advice You Didn't Want. We're excited today because today, well, I guess we're excited. Like it's my birthday, so
I'm
I'm
excited.
excited.
I'm excited for you for your birthday.
Hey, but we're going to be talking about numerology in relation to that, and like not even just my numerology, but we're probably going to go into your numerology too, Ashley.
Yeah,
But in case anyone hasn't met me before, I am Karin Angelly, and I'm here with my friend.
I'm Ashley. And yes, I'm very excited to celebrate your birthday on our podcast, but
Yay.
also to dive into the numerology behind it because I am a nerd for that.
Oh
And
yeah.
the cool thing is, and why we get along so well, is we're the same.
Yeah, no, it's hilarious. So we don't have the same birthday, but our numerology ends up being the same, which is, in my
Yeah.
opinion, hilarious. Like, and when we do our human design, we both come out, I think we're both manifesting generators too, right? Like we're both
Hmm.
like the
Yeah.
same in all of it, even though we have completely different birth dates, times, etc. It's like we still came in at the same frequency. And it's
Hmm.
hilarious because we will literally have conversations and I will be like, Ashley, get out of my brain. Like the fuck.
Yeah. Well, I think the first time like we met, like it was a really interesting how it all happened, but we're like driving to an event and talking and it was like, is she saying my life or her life right now?
That's hilarious. Yeah. Is this something that like what's going on here? Like how come this is the same life right now?
Yeah.
I think like immediately we just hit it off because of that, because we just had so many similarities with where
Mhm.
we had been and what we had experienced. And yeah, we had a lot of differences too, but like at the end
Mhm.
of the day, we were like, wait a minute, like that's so weird. You had that happen too? Like the hell?
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of that does have to do with numerology and what
Mhm.
frequency do we come into this world in.
Mhm.
So yeah, but I mean, so obviously like my birthday is November 9th, so that's
Mhm.
today, yay me. But when I don't know if anybody, like if you don't know how to do your numerology for your birthday, let's talk about that first, because I feel like
Yeah.
that's really really important. So if you take your number, so like I was born November 9th, 1985. So I literally take all of those numbers. So I take the 11, I do 1 plus 1, and I get 2. And then the ninth, I add a 9 to that. I'm doing weird things with my hair. Is that what you're laughing at right now? Like I'm
No,
having a
no,
hard
I'm
time with my
laughing
hair.
at 1 + 1 is 2.
Yeah. The struggle is real. So yeah, so in case you didn't know how to do simple math, we're going to talk about that today too. So advice you probably didn't want, so you're welcome.
Or didn't need.
Yeah, exactly. So
Uh,
yeah, so you literally take the 1 and then you add the 9, and so you get like, what is that, 11? Like, and then you go through your entire birthday, and whatever number you come up with at the end, though, that's like your life path basically. So like when you add up both mine and Ashley's, it becomes a 34. um which is really interesting because like obviously you're born in March, like completely
mhm.
different, which is also hilarious. So I'm a Scorpio, you're a Pisces, but what's funny is some of my closest friends in life are Pisces also.
Oh,
Like I
really?
look back and I'm like, oh my god, I have a lot of friends that have March birthdays. Like that's so
Yeah,
weird.
that's funny. Well, for me, most of my people in my life are Libras, like the vast
Ah,
majority. I do have a few of you guys, the Scorpios, like you, my brother, and a couple other friends, but yeah, I have mostly Libras in my life.
yeah, and my husband's a Libra too.
Oh my
So I'm
gosh.
like, yeah, yeah. So I'm like, yeah, I kind of like fall in that same category. It's
Yeah.
weird. I don't know. So,
Well,
but
what Scorpio is a water sign too, right?
yeah, yep.
Yeah.
Which is funny because a lot of people think that Scorpio is a fire sign because we're so passionate. Like people,
Mhm.
I feel like Scorpios are just really misunderstood at the end of the day, because when I tell
Yeah.
people I'm a Scorpio, they're like, really? I thought you were this. And I'm like, no, like I'm a Scorpio. I'm really passionate. And they're like, yeah, I could see that, but you're so like laid back and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, Well, yeah, I'm not an asshole. Like, is that what you think a Scorpio is? Good Lord. But like, yeah,
Yeah.
we're water signs. Like, there's a lot of fluidity with us too. So
Mhm.
just like a Pisces, you know? So I don't know. I think it's hilarious when people are like,
Mhm.
oh, it's a water sign. I thought it was a fire sign because you're so fiery.
Yeah, for
No.
sure. Yeah. Well, and then you're with an air sign, just like me. It's fun.
Yeah, so fun.
Yeah.
So
Anyway.
but yeah, so like looking at that 34, like we got all the way, we added up our numerology for our birthday, but then we kind of go a step further with it and we add the 3 and the 4. So we took all of our numbers and we added those up, and then we got the 34, right? And then now we take the 3 and the 4 separately and we add those up to get a 34/7. So
Mhm.
that's literally like when you're looking at numerology for your birthday, you do the exact same thing that I just did. And you go, okay, so I'm a 34/7. So what does that actually mean? So let's talk a little bit about the numbers for a
Mhm.
second here.
Yeah.
So we'll just start with the 34/7, and then we can kind of talk about the other new numbers in numerology as well,
Sure.
because
Yeah.
there's a lot to numerology, let's be
Yeah.
honest. But with the three is like that expression of like that sensitivity. It's increasing information, and a lot of times it ends up being like spiritual information, which is like, it gives me chills right now because I'm like, holy shit, that's literally what we're doing right now. Like
Yeah.
increasing that spiritual um realm here on earth, that kind of thing. So like
Mhm.
when I look at just the 3, like it's like, oh, interesting. Like
Mhm.
there's a lot of expression, and I'm a very expressive person, as you are as well, Ashley. And
Mhm.
so yeah, so like the 3, I'm like, oh yeah, I feel really heard. Okay, that makes sense. And then 4 is like your stability. Okay, so you're like that practical, solid foundation, grounded person. I'm like, yeah, I'm still feeling heard. I'm still feeling
Mhm.
really heard right now.
So let me pause for a second. What is your rising sign? Do you know?
I don't even know. That's funny. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know a lot about astrology. Like that's
I
not
know,
like I
yeah,
have
I
a
know more
friend that I
about
go
numerology.
to about it,
Hmm.
but um with a 3, I'm like that really aligns to me with like a Pisces water sign. And
Mm.
I'm not sure how you feel about the Scorpio, but then the 4 being grounded, my rising sign is a earth sign.
Mm.
So,
Interesting.
anyways, that was just a
Yeah.
random thought.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I honestly, I used to know what my rising sign was, and like I don't know. I just never felt as connected with astrology, so I never really went
Yeah.
too far in depth into it.
Yeah.
I always did more with numerology. So,
Mhm. Yeah.
but yeah, that's interesting. That's definitely not something I've gone too far in depth. So, if anybody that's watching this knows, let us know because
Yeah.
we need some advice on this. So, so, but then you get to, okay, so you add the 3 and the 4 to get the 7. And
Mhm.
this is where I really feel heard. Like this. So when you're looking at the 34, these are like the building blocks of what your life purpose is. And the 7 for me, like that's the life purpose. So
Mhm.
7, it's actually kind of scary, honestly. Like when I look at it, like I feel very vulnerable when
Mm.
I realize that this is what I'm here for.
Yeah.
It's all about trust and openness.
Yeah.
And that is scary as fuck. Like to me, I'm like, okay. And I feel like, especially 2023. So if you look at the numerology for 2023, it's also a 7. You add
Mm.
the 2, and the 3, you get a 7, right?
Yeah.
So I look at this year and it's literally that's been the focus for me.
Mhm.
Having trust and being open to whatever comes
Yeah.
and not having that resistance to it. And the more that I had resistance to it, it caused issues for me. But when I finally went, oh no, I have to trust and be open to the process, I was like,
Mhm.
oh yeah, I forgot. I need to get back to that. So,
Yeah. So do you find that like in life you had a hard time with trusting people or just trusting like the situation, or both?
I think for me, it's the situation because
Yeah.
I'm pretty open with people. And I don't know how you are. Like, actually, I do know how you are. You're pretty open with people too, but to an extent. And this is how I am too. I would
Mhm.
literally tell you anything and everything, but there's
Yeah.
always going to be a piece that you may not know. And I
Yeah.
feel like that for me, there's that Scorpio that like I hold back just a little piece of it, that it's like
Yeah.
you may not know that unless you're super close to me.
Yeah, I feel like that's very similar to me, but I have Scorpio nowhere in my charts. So, for me, it's like I will tell you everything logistically,
Mm,
like I will tell you every little detail about my personal life, my business life, my everything, but you won't get to know how I feel about it. You won't get to
yeah.
know like the like really deep stuff. It'll be
Yes.
surface level information. That's how I am. And just because I'm telling you doesn't mean I trust you. And I evaluate a lot of what I say, and I watch people to see how they respond to things and what they do with that information. Because to me, it's just like information, but I use it as a tool to gauge, are they going to get the feelings part of this or not?
Right.
Because I
Yeah.
don't trust people.
Yeah. 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 No. And I can definitely relate to that as well. Like that definitely like resonates 100%.
Mhm.
And so, yeah. So I guess it would be like trust on all levels. Like as we're talking about
Mhm.
this, like you asked, is it people or is it circumstances? I'm like, oh, fuck, it's everything.
Yeah. Yeah. For
Oops.
me, for sure. Yeah. Because
Yeah.
like for situations, like Derek will say like I'm a control freak. And I'm like, but I don't feel like I am, because I don't have to have things my way. Like in the like I don't want to control everything around me. But then I was thinking about it the other day at the school, and I'm so black and white. I'm
Mm,
like, that black and whiteness is going to come off as controlling.
mm,
And so I'm like, I don't want to control everything or everyone, but I feel like I really have wired myself to there's a right way and a wrong way to do things. And I don't trust that the situation is always going to work out in the right way. And something I've worked really hard on for years now is
yeah,
getting more gray. And I think I just talked to you about this just the other day about
you
how
did.
my son's also very black and white. And so it's like trying to help him learn. There's a lot of gray, so that he doesn't have such a hard time as an adult, because that's where it's like, oh, if it's not done this way, it's not right.
Right.
And then we got taught, no, it's not effective. There's not a right or wrong. It's what's effective or not effective. But still, my way of what's effective or not effective isn't the same as someone else's way,
Right.
so it still comes off as controlling.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. No, I
yeah.
could absolutely understand that. So, yeah, no,
Or
I
not
like,
not trusting too. So
yeah.
the controlling and not trusting go hand in hand.
Absolutely. No, 100%. So, yeah, like, and I just look back at this year and it's definitely been like a trusting of the whole situation because it didn't, like, we've talked about this, you and I,
Mhm.
on our own, but this year for me, guys, has not gone the way that I anticipated at all. Like,
Mhm.
I really thought, the end of last year, I was like never gonna have to go back to anesthesia unless I wanted to. Um,
Yeah.
and so I quit my job and then things didn't go the way I anticipated. And I went, oh shit, like I got to
Mhm.
do something. Like,
Yeah.
we still need to eat at the end of the day. And like, it's kind of scary for me to even say this in public too.
Yeah.
Because like nobody really knows this. Like, it's just,
Mhm.
I've just been like, oh yeah, like I'm just here, like whatever, like I'm back at work, it's cool. And I don't work that much, so people don't really think about it too much.
Yeah.
But I know in my core, I'm like, well, things didn't go the way that I anticipated. So,
Mhm.
yeah, we're making money, but it's not the way that I would like or anticipated. And so, like, yeah, like the whole trust of the situation and like the control of the situation, also, like not
Mhm.
trusting that it went the way that I wanted. And so now, like, I had to I don't want to use the word battle, but I had to like get into my thoughts and be like, listen, just because it didn't go the way you think it was going to doesn't mean that it's not going to work out. Doesn't
Yeah.
mean that it's not going to be amazing. And so that for me has been the trust of this year in
And did
general.
that happen like right at the beginning of the year where you had to decide that? Yeah.
Mhm.
So for me, same idea. Right at the beginning of the year, like within the first month, we moved 3 times.
Mm, yeah,
And it was like, what is going on? On top of that, we were like, we've been waiting to go to court for like 2.5 years at the time. We had a court date. And then in January, we get a letter that my partner's ex got fired by her lawyer. He let her go as a client, and she was now going to be trying to adjourn court, which she did do,
yeah,
but we got what we wanted in the process of it. So it was like good and also like not good. Like we got what we wanted, but now we go to court again in a month instead of having it all done and resolved at the
yeah,
beginning of the year. We had to trust and be open that it was all going to work out. And like there's been lots of things that have happened where she definitely has put nails in her coffin. So hopefully it makes this upcoming date easier, but it would have been nice to have it done in January instead of
yeah,
December. But
yeah.
it's coming to a conclusion at the end of this year, all about trust and openness. So
Right? I'm like,
yeah.
God damn, there's definitely something to this, right? Like,
Yeah.
and the more that I learn about myself and the universe and how things work, is that the more you can just be open to the process and stop resisting it, the more you'll
Hmm.
actually enjoy it. Like,
Yeah.
instead of getting so caught up in, but this is the way it was supposed to be. And this
Hmm.
is what should have happened, and you're shooting
Yeah.
all over yourself. And
Yeah.
you're getting frustrated and you're making yourself sick, because I did at
Hmm.
one point this year make myself sick. And then I reminded myself, oh, yeah, it's time to be trusting and open to the process of what's happening again. Oh, yeah. Okay. 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 So it's not an easy process. And I think that, like, for 34 sevens like us, like, this is our life purpose. Like, we are
Yeah.
here to, in my opinion, break the chains of being stuck in resistance and just
Yeah.
trusting the whole process. Like, this is what we want to experience. And
Hmm.
I would say that you and I, like, yes, we have times where we're struggling with this, but I would definitely say that you and I are like, yes, we're cool with the process of trust and openness. Like, we
Hmm.
want to continue and overcome a lot of the resistance that we have in our life. And so
Yeah.
kudos to us.
Yes. Well, it's also funny because like the 3 and the 4, like being sensitive makes it harder to be trusting and open. And then for me, my desire to be grounded is so huge. Like
Mm,
I'm an all or nothing black or white girl. So it's like my house has to be cleaned. I want my food prepped. I'm not a C personality for those of you that know DISC. Like I am not an organization person at all. I am a D driven person, but how I find that drive is through being grounded and
mhm.
also just having the past that I have makes that a lot more. So I want that groundedness to be trusting and open.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's funny.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. So I want to read this, like, just a quick segment out of this book by Dan Millman. It's called The Life You Were Born to Live. Okay. So our mutual mentor suggested this book. Like, if you haven't picked up this book and you want to know a little bit more about numerology, this is the book for it.
Yeah.
You'll get to figure out, like, a little bit more in depth what your life purpose is according to your numerology. But
Mhm.
um, like, as I was reading this, like, before we got on here, I was like, oh my God, I feel so heard. Like, who is in my brain right now? Like, what's going on? So, but, um, so those working 34/7 are here to work through issues of trust, patience, and emotional expression, to have faith in the spiritual process operating within their life. Ah!
Yeah.
And then it continues to go on and it says they're establishing security by finding practical ways to contribute to others. Oh
Mm.
yeah. Okay,
Mhm.
yeah. Like, oh my God, I feel so heard. Okay, so he continues and says that let's see. So working 7 with the down to earth practicality of mature 4 energy and the sensitivity and expressiveness of 3 energy. Like I feel like this is exactly what you just said, Ashley,
Mm-hmm.
where it
Mm-hmm.
was like that grounded energy with the expressive sensitive energy.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, like 100%. So okay, hold on. I got to find, there was one really big piece that I was like, "Oh my God, I feel like I just unraveled everything right now." So, oh, here it is. Here it is. Okay. So 34 sevens. Oh, wait, do I need back up? Okay, here. Let's read this part. Because of the influence of 4, finding a sense of communion or unconditional trust depends on 34 sevens following a step-by-step process of self-discovery, okay? The deeper they go inside, okay, like once I started reading this, I was like, oh my God, this was literally like my path. The deeper that you go inside, the farther 34 sevens see outside.
Mm-hmm.
Holy shit. Like when I read that, I was like, oh my God, this is
That's
me.
so awesome.
So,
Yes,
but I
I
don't know
love
if that
it.
resonates for you.
Yeah, definitely. Whenever I read anything like that or like reread it, it's like a huge eye opener and just it's more confirmation, you know. And so like for me, I do find numerology one of the most interesting like paths. Like there's astrology, human design, Myers-Briggs, like there's so many different
Yeah.
things that tell you about yourself.
Oh, yeah.
And I definitely find that numerology is like the building blocks of our entire universe. So I find
Mhm.
it the most intriguing, but I have never dove like very far into any of them because to me they're just confirmation. And I find
Mhm.
that like we have all the knowledge within ourselves, as
Mhm.
you know. So I haven't used it too much, but I love the confirmation. Like even with like, astrology, I'm like, oh man, like I'm struggling right now with this. And then it's like, oh, yeah, Venus is in retrograde. That makes sense, you know, or whatever it is at the time. So to me, they're just little confirmations, like, oh,
Mhm.
yeah, that makes sense more than diving hard. But I think
Yeah.
eventually I'll do a deep dive into numerology.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree because and I said this the other day. I don't think I said this to you, but one thing that I don't love about things like human design or gene keys or even like numerology, all this stuff is like
Mhm.
sometimes people will read this stuff and feel like they have to be put in a box too.
Yeah,
Like that's the other piece of this. Like I can read that and go, wow, I feel so heard. Somebody
yeah,
else that's a 34/7 could read that and go, that's not me at all. I don't want to be in that box. And I
yeah,
can even like, even though like I'm like, oh, I feel really heard, I can also redefine myself is the other piece of the puzzle. Like
yeah.
I don't always like, I do like the process of self-discovery that comes with all these different things like numerology, human design, all the things. I
Yeah.
love that process of self-discovery, but I think that it's like a jumping off point. I don't think it's
Mhm.
the end all be all at the end of the day
Mhm. Yeah.
because like you said, we have all the information that we need inside of us.
Mhm.
So when I'm looking outside of me, like I'm missing the point. When I
Mhm.
actually go internally, which is what a 34/7 does, that's what I just read. When I
Yeah.
go inside, that's where I get the answers.
Yeah.
And so at the end of the day, I totally agree with you. Like these can be great confirmations and really, really helpful. But at the end of the day, like I'm not going to say this is the way that I am because my number chart says this is how I am.
Yes. Yeah,
So,
exactly.
yeah. So, but I wonder if we should like I have a whole list of like the numbers and I just want to
Yeah.
kind of give people like a understanding of what the numbers on a general basis actually mean. Like when
Yeah.
we go through 1 through 9, what do these things mean?
Mhm.
So I figured I'd like read through this for people so you can be like, okay, like this is my number chart. This is where I am. Okay,
Yeah.
this makes sense. So
Yeah.
so like if you're looking at one, like one is like that new beginning. It's that it also is like your personal drive, that willpower. You're getting started in something really probably exciting. honestly. So if you're seeing like a lot of ones everywhere, like you're in probably in a stage where you're getting started with something new and exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Two, I feel like two is interesting because two is all about balance. It's like the opposites. So
Yeah.
like you have one side, you have the yin, the yang kind of thing. So
Yeah.
that opposites, that balance, that cooperation in balance.
Mm-hmm.
Three is like your, yes, it's your expression, your sensitivity. It's also mind, body, spirit. Like
Mm-hmm.
thinking about like the expression and the
Mm-hmm.
sensitivity through your mind, through your body, through your spirit, all of it.
Yeah.
And then with the four, like we've already said, like the grounding, that solid foundation, being in the practical physical world, like these, like 34 sevens, we already kind of went over that, like
Yeah.
those good numbers. Five, I know I see a lot of fives these days,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it's because our planet is going through an increase in vibration. And so you see a lot of fives, but five is like that freedom, discipline, Christ consciousness, that whole concept right there. And listen, Ashley, if I miss something, if I'm like, if I don't say
Well,
something,
well,
like,
Christ consciousness is six more so.
let's see here. I think that you may be right. Let's just check and see. No, Christ consciousness is five for sure.
Really?
Yeah, six is living your divinity.
Yeah, that's Christ consciousness.
Yeah, so five is also like specifically on this list is that Christ consciousness, divinity
Yeah.
also. So five and six, like sometimes, like I know you've asked me in the past, like what's five and what's six? Like sometimes I get them confused because they are, in my opinion, so close.
Yeah.
Because it is pretty similar. But for
Mhm.
me, I've always gone back to five being that Christ consciousness, that and that's the first thing that comes to mind when I see five.
Mhm.
So
Interesting.
yeah.
Yeah, because like for five, I see it as like discipline and freedom. Like so many people think
Yep.
that they're two opposites, but discipline is what gives you freedom.
Freedom. Yeah.
And so that's how I've always seen five. And then six has always been about the divine
Mhm.
and about like authenticity and like that kind of stuff. And so that's where I've always labeled that as Christ consciousness. But
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the thing is that like there are also, the thing with any of these things is there's going to be overflow. And like
mm-hmm.
when you look at like things like five and six, like there, I feel like there is a lot of overflow because yes, it is freedom and discipline, but it's also that Christ consciousness and divinity as well. And then
Yeah.
six, like that expanded vision and acceptance, that wholeness, unity, and that divinity is like
Mhm.
really the piece of it too.
Yeah. So like
So,
when you're in a six, like if you're having like sins, as I people
mhm,
know how to call that, you're not gonna feel as good about that. Like it's gonna come up as way worse for you.
yep,
And you're going to really have that internal struggle. So like when we talk about like raising your vibration or living above the line or like the duality, when you're around a sixth time in your life, like a 6 year or 6 month, you're gonna struggle with those kind of things more
mhm,
um than you normally would, in my
right.
opinion. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
You won't be able to have that duality the same way. You're going to be called to rise up. And if you don't, you're going to hit a different type of hell.
Yeah,
For like,
which
that's just how I say it. Like, you're either living in a hell on earth or a heaven on earth.
yeah,
And yeah, so
yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, so then we get to seven, and we've talked pretty extensively about that trust
yeah.
and openness.
Hmm.
Um, and just like is really just like for me, it really is just being open to all possibilities and whatever comes, basically.
Yeah.
Eight is like that power responsibility. It can mean like abundance, which is fun. We all like that. So who is not excited about abundance and more power, responsibility in our life? And
Hmm.
then nine is like that, like completion, like you've
Hmm.
come full circle and you get to start over again, kind of thing. And it's like that time where you get to kind of reflect on what you've created. You reflect on that abundance that's in your life.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm actually 38, right? So I did my own numerology this morning, and I went, okay, 38, that's an 11. So when I put an 11 together, or a 1 and a 1 together, and it creates that 11, that's like that channel, that gateway from
Yeah.
above. And so I'm like, well, that's kind of fun. And then I also went the step further, and I added the two ones together and went, okay, so it's balance. Like the two
Mhm.
is all about balance in
Mhm.
getting that divinity. So yeah, so that was kind of fun to think about this morning, and going, this is going to be an interesting year, I feel like, because we're literally
Yeah.
2024 is going to be that abundance year.
Yeah.
So,
Well, so for me, it's a little bit fun because last year, or this year still, we were in a 7 year. My birthday and my month number is 7. And last March I turned 34. 34 is 7. So it was like my year in every way was 7, and it's just lining up. It's going to keep being that way. So next year I'm going to be turning 35, which will be 8, and then our year is 8. So I'm like really feeling the lessons of trust and openness this year, and
yeah,
next year I'm ready. I'm ready
I
for the
am
abundant
too.
lessons.
Yeah. I'm with you.
Yeah.
I get it 100%. So, yeah, it's definitely, I know for both of us, it's definitely been a year of like, how do I get more trusting in what's going on
Mhm.
and just being open to the possibilities.
Yeah.
So, and it has definitely been situations and people, I think, for both of us
Mhm.
also.
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
which is a fun combination.
Yes. Yeah, I'm ready for the next one.
Yep, yep. But I mean, the beautiful thing about November too, November is that 11 month also. And so
Mhm.
like this can be a really magical time of year. Like I
Yeah.
do think like um Scorpios can have a lot of magic tied to them
Mhm.
because of that 11 energy that's
Yeah.
there. And there can be a lot of like from above so below, like that
Mhm.
channel from the divine. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting as we enter next year too, and see how all of this plays out. So
Yes, for
yeah,
sure.
yeah. So yeah. With that, that was fun. I
Yes.
mean, like you said, like both of us have dove into numerology, but we haven't like dove super hard. Like, well, like
Yeah.
I know you'll come to me sometimes and be like, what does this number mean again? And I'm like, okay, I'm pretty sure I remember. Yep, it's this. And then I'll look it up. Oh yeah, that is what that means. So
Yeah.
I know for me, like whenever I see like the angel numbers a lot, I kind of pay
Mhm.
attention and go, okay, what does that one mean? Okay, that's interesting that that's showing up, because I
Mhm.
know after I came back from my recent Dr. Joe event, I kept seeing sevens everywhere. Seven,
Mhm.
seven, seven, like everywhere. And that's not really
Yeah.
a common one that I had been seeing.
Yeah.
Like seven, um, is not like you see like on the clocks and stuff, you'll see like 111 or 222, like you'll see that, but there's no 777. So I
Yeah.
didn't really, I don't like, that wasn't one that I would see a lot. But when I came back, it was like there was a guy that had a tattoo that said 777, and the temperature would be 77, and there would be like, there were all these like weird things that I was like, there's so many sevens. So I'm like looking it up, and I'm going deeper into the seven and what does the seven mean. And it's, yes, it's that trust and openness, but it's also like you're on the right path, keep going too,
Yeah.
which is really, really fun to be like, okay, all right, thanks for that. I'm cool
Yeah.
with this.
Mhm. I agree.
Yeah. So, yeah, but numerology, man, it's good times.
It
So,
is. It's very interesting. I think the
mhm.
more you dive into it, like it literally makes up everything.
Mm-hmm.
It's in everything. Like you can convert your name. There's so many things that you can do. And it's so interesting.
Yeah.
It's always interesting to have confirmations, whatever they are.
Yeah. So just for people that don't know, like you mentioned this, like you can convert your name too. So do you want to explain
Mhm.
how people can do that?
There's going to be a grid. You can look it up on Google, and the letters correspond with numbers. So
Mm-hmm.
you
I'm
figure that
pretty
out.
sure A is 1, B is 2.
Yeah.
So like you could literally just like do it
Yeah.
that way. You don't necessarily have to even look it up.
No,
But you
that's
can do
true.
your numerology for your name too, which
Mhm.
my name actually changed. So when I was first born, I was Karen Diane Pierre, and then whenever I think it was a month or two later, my parents were like, "We don't like that middle name." So my middle name actually changed to Jennifer. So I'm like, "Which one is
Weird.
it?"
Which one do you resonate with? Have you figured it
Jennifer,
out?
100%.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And have you like looked at the numbers to see which one you resonate with that way?
I honestly, it's been a long time since I've
Mhm.
done that. So for my name,
Yeah.
I feel like when I did do it though, I think that it was Jennifer that was more of a resonation. But it's been so long since I've done it that I don't
Mhm.
even remember what the numbers were anymore. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, so
Fair.
yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
So play around with your birthday, with your name, and have a good time and
And
figure out what
there's
these.
so much more. Like
Oh
there's
yeah.
I haven't done all of it. I went to this like psychic fair back in the spring, and they're like, "Oh, have you done these numerology things?" I'm like, "Nope, hadn't even heard of them." Like there's so much that you can like jump into. But
Oh,
this
absolutely.
is just
Yeah.
basics. And
Oh,
you can start.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a place to start. And like I said, that book by Dan Millman
Mm-hmm.
is like, it's awesome. If you're like, what is my life purpose? That is definitely the place to start. So,
Yeah, for
yeah.
sure.
So, with that, I think that that's the conclusion of TMI advice you didn't want for today, right?
Yes. Well, I think today
Yay.
was fun.
What's that?
Today was fun. Probably wasn't too much of advice you didn't want. I think anyone can get nerd out over numerology.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, why not? There's just a lot of symbolism. We like symbolism. So
Yeah.
we like to know, what am I here for? What's my purpose? So,
Yeah. Well,
but
just like
with
you said, we like to feel heard and we like the community.
absolutely 100%. So, but with that, if you are watching on YouTube, please like us, love us, subscribe so we can keep creating more content for you. Ask questions if you like, and please give us a 5 star. If you're listening on podcast, give us a 5 star. Connect with us. We'd love to hear more about what you want to hear about too. So, with
Definitely.
that, can't wait to hang out with everyone next time.